How do you feel about the Naga this time around, John?
It's hard to say. Like, it does look like an okay match for the Naga. Not the greatest. You still have to kind of worry about the Batrider. You're going to be relying on, of course, maintaining your illusion spam. And once you get that runaway start, I guess you could do some work. I don't see the Naga really being a great plus. At the same time, I don't see it being a great negative as well. It's just kind of meh. Like, it's okay. It's an okay Naga game. You're going to get some value out of it, but it does slow down your tempo. And with a Grimstroke Necrophos and a Ricky, you kind of want to be a bit more active early on. I think you really want to hit that 6, start getting those early towers, getting that early pressure on. And the Naga takes a while to be really getting into that stride. In fact, it does look supremely greedy in Mineski's side if you look at it. I mean, just that Grimstroke, the Necrophos, the Ricky, all of these heroes require pretty good amounts of farm, especially at Ricky, to be effective. Like, you can run a pretty selfless Ricky support, but it really feels like it kind of falls a bit flat. And there is a reason why this hero just hasn't been popping out too much, but MYSG go directly into the Drow strat. Now, that's going to be really strong. You have great push for the Shadow Shaman already. All your heroes will benefit from that aura, and that does open up their mid lane for something pretty dominant as well.
The only thing is, I mean, they chose the Drow Ranger into the Ricky. Now, we always talk about closing distance with the Drow Ranger. You've got the Naga Siren who can song to close the distance on that Drow. Now you've got a Rikimaru who's already going to be able to close the distance, assuming there's no detection around with the sentry wards, which is my main concern for this Drow from MYSG. Now, I could be completely wrong, John, but I do feel like Ricky is probably going to give this Drow a lot of hell this game.
Definitely should. And again, as you mentioned, it's just a great gap closer. It's kind of like having that Nyx once it hits 6. The one issue is that Ricky doesn't really have that great burst damage or control. Like, all he has is that slow from the smoke and the silence that comes with it, really. So you're going to need backup fast, and you don't really have a fast initiator in Mineski's side yet. So you're going to need something to back that Ricky up. Wondering what they do pick to close out their draft. I like that Storm ban out. It would have been really hard to deal with that Drow aura. Just really having a runaway start again. You don't have the strongest lockdown from Mineski, but the silence from the Ricky is pretty darn good. Like, as long as you just get that cloud off, once it's leveled up enough, you're going to have pretty good AoE in that and good duration. So, good control on a hero like that, but it does look like Mineski doesn't want to take that risk.
Well, Ember and Storm being banned out, so the Spirit Brothers are going to be gone. MYSG, how do they finish this off? We know they chose Sniper last game. They've got a Drow lineup. They're up against the Naga Siren. It doesn't seem like the worst pick in the world. The only thing is, again, you already have that Ricky to close the distance. Do they go into the Sniper mid?
I feel like they do have room for that. Like, they definitely kind of lack in big team fight, but so does Mineski. They don't have anything that really controls a wide area besides that song, but they don't really have the greatest follow-up for that song. So they do go with that TA, which is an excellent pick, of course, with a Drow. Massive damage coming out, great spread damage as well that can kind of eat through that Naga Siren. You don't really have the best clear for that refraction as well on Mineski's side just yet, so there's a lot of value from this pickup, and it should be able to give MYSG that amazing early start they want and keep that aggression going.
Well, Mineski, one pick for them to close this all off. They do have plenty of reserve time left over if they do wish to use it. They will not, though. Ooh, well, there's the way to clear that refraction out, John, the Death Prophet, who I believe is a rather underrated hero right now in this meta. I think the Death Prophet can do a lot of work. The only thing is, though, we always talk about this Death Prophet, and you've got to really revolve your strategy around the exorcism and that cooldown. As well as that, you have the Reaper Scythe and the Naga Siren Song, which both also have a very high cooldown. So, if they fall behind on the side of Mineski, it does feel like MYSG is just going to be able to run over them with absolutely no issue.
It definitely feels that way. Mineski has to be playing on point with those timers. The key one is really DP. You don't really care too much about expending Song or not. I don't think the Kanag is going to be joining these early fights anyway. The Reaper Sight is something to watch out for as well, but the key thing is really that DP. when those ghosts fly out, you want to be able to take that team fight, and you want to be able to take a tower right after. It's really key to the DP's timings to transition from that team fight by a tower into taking that tower. And if you don't find that early timing, it does kind of feel harder to find that space. Feel to find your power spike if you don't get those early objectives. So Mineski is going to have to play a bit aggressively around that timer. Whereas MYSG is not really beholden to anything like that. You don't really have massive cooldowns to care for. None of them is really that long and as pivotal in terms of taking an objective like Mineski's is. So there's a lot more flexibility on MYSG as to when they want to force these fights and when they want to really stop farming and take the 5v5 into a tower.
See how it all pans out. Should be a very fun matchup to watch nonetheless. Of course, this is game number 1 of a best-of-3 upper bracket finals. Winner of this will go straight through to the grand final of the qualifier. Of course, if you did want to see Boom ID versus Team Adroit, that is over on Beyond the Summer 2. So you can tune into that as well if you are a fan of either of those sides. But this one should be pretty lit, I imagine.
I mean, you have a lot of synergy in Mineski's lineup, to be fair. Just Inkswell into that Ricky early on, just walking up and suddenly getting stunned in silence is gonna be interesting to watch. And that is a combination you don't see too often. DT Faded again, showing off that Seb.
He does love showing off his Seb, John. I do believe there were some pretty big Sebs on Mineski's side, if I do remember, but they keep it under wraps. They won't bring it out quite yet. Mineski, something a bit interesting, I feel. They're up quite early on. Already the mirror images being thrown out by Arjit. It's a scout out. Have some deep observe wards in the mid lane. Looks like being placed by Polison, though. Was actually up near the Roshan pit. It was me, but interesting place to place that ward. I suppose they're just worried about any rotations coming into the mid lane that might screw up the nothing to say TA. Plus, it's got to be careful for that Ricky as well. It's a nice observer ward there being placed by Mineski. They do have the vision on the TA, but Raging already doing some work on this Ricky, scouting out for his team. He spots out 3 heroes. You wonder whether they bother even going for a fight right now or whether they just try and swipe the bounty. Though Raging is chasing Polison. They might just go into BT though. There's the Inkswell. This is the strategy here from the side of Mineski, and they will find the first blood straight off the bat. And it's one thing we did forget about, John. The Inkswell plus the Ricky Invis is a pretty dangerous combination to have to be up against.
Yeah, I mean, it was mentioned right at the end of the draft phase. It's not a combination you see too often, but it's really potent. Again, just having that invisibility is going to be really big with a hero like that Grimstroke, and that is another combination to watch out for. There is the early investment already from Winter, though. He's been holding on to that Sentry Ward for a while. He does drop it in the end. We see the counter ward from Ninja Bogey, and he does find it, so it's going to be a bit of a waste of resources from MYSG.
Great start from Mineski, and they are going to run trial lane versus trial lane, though Raging. Going to get spotted out underneath that T1 tower. It's going to be a really hard lane, though, for MYSG. Meanwhile, though, mid lane, Moon versus Nothing to Say. I imagine it will favor Nothing to Say for just a bit, but Moon with that Spirit Siphon as well, once he does have it up, could be very frustrating to lane against.
He should be able to sustain himself, but if he cops too much right-click damage from that TA, the DP isn't really the tankiest hero. He doesn't commit that Spirit Siphon yet. He does have it up now, but not going to be using it just yet.
Raging, showing himself in that bot lane. Does cop a fair bit of harassment from that. Meanwhile, top lane, of course, we do have Arjit versing Velo on that Bat Rider. Kind of shocked to see they left Arjit alone up at that top lane up against a Bat. And they are actually going to have a go here, Arjit. We'll just use the mirror images and we'll be okay. Meanwhile, bot lane, looks like there is a bit of a fight going on. Winter, he'll end up losing his life. Thunderstrike on KP shouldn't really tick him out, and it won't. Again, you see that Rikimaru and Inkswell coming in handy. Just such an easy kill for Mineski.
Yeah, as long as they keep this pressure up, this kind of duo will pay off. Like, you do have great scaling with that Ricky, and you know, he doesn't even have a level 2 yet. Once he has that added utility with maybe the smoke screen, it's just gonna get much harder to run away from that combination.
Winter this time around, he'll bring 2 sentry wards with him, just to make sure they can actually de-ward the one out from Mineski, and they should find it here, though. They do. Was Ninja Boogie not holding any sentries right now, but does buy one out from the store, so he's ready to contest that sentry. Meanwhile, Velo finding himself very low at the top lane, but that was because he was going for a bit of a creep pool there. Be able to salve up, and he'll be okay. So, Raging bot lane again. Gonna go on VT Faded with the Inkswell. Can they finish him off this time, though? Doesn't look like it. They will not pursue any further.
Yeah, again, it's a massive commitment here from MYSG to make sure that VT Faded has that good time in lane. And it's gonna cost them a lot from these supports.
Well, it does look like nothing to say. Still having a pretty good time in the mid lane. 18 last hits, 7 denies for him. In comparison to the 11 and 2 of Moon. So far, the Death Prophet, I mean, he's doing okay, but you definitely don't want to fall too far behind a TA.
There's really not much you can do about this as the DP. All you can best do is try to maintain your own farm, but I don't think you'll be able to threaten that TA
Bot lane,
too
John.
hard.
Bot lane, Polison, Inkswell will be there as well. Death Pulse, and that will get the job done. KP picking up another kill. That'll be the 3rd of the game for the side of Mineski. And it just seems like there's no real answer to this, and Raging actually going to go towards the mid lane now. Moon has gone in with the Spirit Siphon, but yeah, nothing to say. Not afraid of that Spirit Siphon, and will just continue moving forward. Now, there is a rotation from Mineski. They want to try and shut down this TA a bit. Ninja Boogie and Raging will move in. Well, will be there. Blink Strike will come out as well. Nothing to say. Does get stunned up though. Stroke of Fate misses. Can't really afford to miss those like that though. Raging is still chasing. Nothing to say. Has Refraction in 5 seconds though. Raging, he does find the kill in the end. Paulson could not help the cause with the Shaman.
Yeah, it's a bit too late when he came in. Just losing your TA like that, not gonna be the best bit of news, but they have had a pretty good run in this TA so far, and he can recover in the jungle just fine. There's nothing really stopping that so far, except that Ricky. Gonna be a nuisance for sure.
Jid getting chased by Velo right now. It doesn't look like he'll survive this though. Velo going for the dive. Jid might just turn around and man fight this though. No, he still survives. Velo overextending though. Bottle will keep him alive. Couldn't find the final right click. Jid, he had the stick charges, and that really kept him healthy enough. Both heroes now on very low HP. You see the rotation there from Polison, though. Raging does scatter it out, and he's going after Velo on that Bat Rider. Does have the blink available, though. Firefly will be there. Raging, can he find the damage? It does not look like he can. Velo will go ahead and commit the Shrine, and he'll be okay.
Yeah, that is the one thing with Ricky now. His early damage just isn't great, so not being able to clean up that bat is a bit of an issue, but it's all fine.
Mid lane, nothing to say. Get the Spirit Siphon, and now Inkswell as well. Ninja Boogie setting up, and that'll be an easy kill on nothing to say. And again, Mineski, 0 to 5 now on them, just doing a really great job of making this Ricky and the Grimstroke combination work.
What up, fellow now?
Yeah, they will. Inkswell is not available for another few seconds, and he will commit the Firefly, realizing he was in trouble, and he'll be able to get out safely. Meanwhile, Polison gonna loop around onto KP, who's alone right now. They do have the Shackles out as well, though I don't know if they have enough damage. He does have the Ghost Form. They'll commit the Kinetic Field, and now the Ghost Form comes out, and with that, KP just heals up so darn quickly.
You don't really have that magical burst to really finish off KP when he drops that low. Not quite yet. Gonna have to really invest a bit more in your supports to get that to happen. Like, maybe a level 2 Ether Shock would be able to help clean up during that Ghost Shroud, but as it is right now, Paulson just doesn't have the damage yet.
Raging. Keep eyes on Polison. In fact, he has scouted up this creep stacking going on here from Polison. The Inkswell immediately coming out. The stack will not actually stack up, and Raging with the Stroke of Fate coming in from Ninja Boogie, will be a very easy kill on that Shaman. Meanwhile, top lane Velo gonna make a chase onto Arjit. Can he actually take down this Naga Siren? He does have the lasso and will commit it immediately, and that should be a kill. KP will TP in and try and help out, but it was just a bit too late. And VT Faded looking very happy about that Naga Siren going down.
I mean, the Naga has had a pretty free run, much better run than VT Faded has had on bot lane, but they have left him alone for now, and that added pressure up top does mean that VT Faded can farm a bit freer down here in bot lane, which he does need. Again, he's not having the best time compared to that Naga, so this should help him boost his early farm substantially.
Looks like Arjit actually not going to TP anywhere quite yet. He's going to actually make a run through the mid lane and perhaps go to the east side jungle. In fact, no, he'll just keep going down mid. Doesn't really have anything to set up. I imagine he just wants to keep farming up though. Winter getting chased down now by Raging. Glimpse is there onto Moon, but Raging will continue the chase. He'll have the blink in a second or so. The kinetic field will not hold him back either. And with that Orb of Venom, it should be enough slow though. Shackles do come out from Polison. He was just trying to save Winter, and it will not be successful.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good effort, but again, just the disruptiveness of this Riki forcing out chases from the support frees up all these lanes for Mineski, and that does give them a bit more to work with. Although, again, they have kind of left that Drow alone, but Raging Potato is working his way down bot again.
They do have Moon there on the Death Prophet if they do want to engage, but VT realizes this Riki might be around. He'll go to the jungle now. He does almost have the level 6 up on the Drought. Just needs maybe 1 or 2 neutral creeps to get that done. Just really wants to secure some safe farm on this Drought now. Still, the Naga Siren going to be very concerning. Arjit now looking to push down the bot lane. Moon, he does commit the Exorcism as well. Looks like there will be really no response from MYSG. Velo thinking about chasing KP, but is unsuccessful in doing so, and now Moon will actually TP up with the Exorcism. He's going to make the chase, and Velo has no way out of this. He will end up falling. Of course, you did see Winter there with the glimpse, but it did not help the cause. That'll make it a 1-8, and the net worth lead will remain the way of Mineski by about 2k.
Yeah, and Raging Potato's not done yet. He's tracking Winter.
Poor Winter. The bane of every support's existence is, of course, going to be this Riki. Moon is there with the Spirit Siphon as well, and, well, a very easy kill. VT going to come in as well now, going to try and go after Raging. Do they even have the detection, though? There's the dust coming in from Velo, so they are going to make this chase. He does have Lasso available as well, but he won't even need to use it. They do finally find Raging. That'll mean about 10 seconds worth of just peace, knowing that he will not be chasing somebody on their side of things.
It's also a good gold injection going the way of the Bat Rider, so it will help him find these early items. He is rushing that Boots of Travel, as we tend to see the Bat Riders get, so still pretty on point for a decent enough timing on that, although not the fastest run again that we've seen from Bat Rider, just down to a pretty rocky 1v1 against a Naga, who did hold on their own just fine.
Yeah, and Arjit is still pushing in that bot lane. He's been farming very well. 4.5k net worth on him. He is going straight into that Diffusal build, which we see all the time from these Nagas. See if they do manage to stop him at all, but he does have the song up now as well, so he has that escape mechanism available. It's like bot lane KP. Gonna say hello to Velo, though that top lane is being pushed in now. VT Faded on the Drought, looking to find some talents for his team. But there are rotations coming in. Mineski, they want to fight. They are looping around as well with Raging and Ninja Boogie, and here comes the Inkswell straight onto Winter. They want to get rid of this Disruptor and ensure there's no kinetic field coming out, and that will be the case. Now they go after Velo as well. Reaper's Sights from KP will get that job done. That'll be a 2 and 11 now. Nothing to say, trying to push in that mid-tier 1 tower and might find it. The only problem is, Arjit is there with the song to set up. Does have a lot of mirror images as well. And this is probably going to be a dead TA. The smoke will come out, the Inkswell as well to follow. What the hell do you do if you're a TA in that instance?
I really like the aggression coming out from Mineski. We usually don't see the Naga Siren coming in for these early kills, but Arjit has been really active in this map, and that is down to Raging Potato enabling this aggressive movement. So, ooh, Courier?
The immune for the moment, though. One more. Raging still wants it, though. VT Faded will not allow it to happen. A nice gust from him. Do they have detection, though? Winter, he does not hold any. Oh, VT, he thought he was getting attacked. He commits the, well, excuse me, Raging thought he was getting attacked. Committed the ultimate. The VT was just hitting the Ancients. Oh, nice little play from him, though.
Yeah, and again, we're seeing this Ricky really escalate up. He has pretty decent timings on himself for his support. Like, he has the face boots. He's had that for a while now. And again, the pressure from Mineski is just really on point. They're going to lose their tier 1 mid. But they still maintain that 3k lead. And even then, I don't see MYSG taking advantage of that mid tier 1 takedown just yet.
Certainly not. I mean, it does feel like they need a bit more farm up on these cores, though. They are looping their way up to the top lane where they could go for that tier 1 tower. Raging, of course, going to keep eyes, but Sentry has been placed, and now the Serpent Wards as well being used, as well as the Lasso. Perhaps a bit of overkill, but they will be able to use those Serpent Wards for the tier 1, and now Ninja Boogie gets caught out with the glimpse from Winter. That is a great rotation there from the side of MYSG. Mineski certainly not expecting that to occur. They will go ahead and try to pressure the bot lane in with those Naga illusions, though Winter will be there to defend.
Yeah, a bit of a misstep there from Mineski. I expected a bit more if they were going to go for that defense, but just the 2 supports doesn't really lend too much against all the heroes that MYSG did throw up there to ensure that push. So they've gotten a lot more out now, and that does allow them to maybe dip into that jungle a bit safer. And, you know, that does enable them to pump some aggression of their own out, but Mineski hasn't really been stuck in that jungle anyway. It's mainly just been Odjit on the opposite jungles.
We've seen an interesting item pickup here from Nothing to Say as well on the TA. Usually we've seen a lot of TAs just rush the Deso before the Blink, but this time around Nothing. He'll go ahead and pick up the Blink first. It is out on the courier right now, though he is being watched. Raging, gonna move in with the Inkswell. Nothing to Say, gonna realize he's there, but might be too late. Stroke of Fate smoke is there as well. WSG, they are moving in, though. Disruptor is a nice static storm coming out, as well as the shackles. Jit will end up falling, though Raging still making a run for it. And MYSG, well, Velo end up finding Ninja Boogie as well on the Batrider. Just a great play again from this Radiant side. Finding a 2-for-1 trade, though unfortunately they still end up losing out on the TA.
Yeah, it is looking a bit better here as the game goes on for MYSG. They're finding the counter kills they want, and they are starting to get some aggression of their own going. They have swung that network lead back to just 1k for Mineski, so they are still finding space in the map. I think the one thing... Ooh.
Gonna get caught out. Lasso being committed. He does have help there from Raging. The MYSG guys aren't really close, but now the Gus will come out from VT Faded. KP gonna continue the chase onto Velo. Velo is pretty safe, though. Who else can they go for? Inkswell and Raging Potato will do nothing. And MYSG will safely walk out of there.
Yeah, a bit of a close call, but no one really dropping there. And again, all this time does give MYSG their own recovery farm to start rolling. Nothing to Say is still pretty decent in farm. In fact, even the Drow is kind of tied up there as well. Only really behind that Naga Siren, which you kind of have to expect, right? It's a Naga, we've seen this before. They just farm up fast.
Raging, not able to find the Blink. Winter does show himself for a bit, but he's way too far away as well. Though they won't mind too much. They are going to go after that mid-tier 1 tower now with the Exorcism. And there will be no defense from the Radiant. Be able to go ahead and take that for free. And in fact, it looks like they want to go for more. Raging going to move up, though there is a sentry there. Looks like he is somewhat aware of that because the kinetic field was there to scout out any observer wards on top of the cliff. So, they'll stick around though. Doesn't realize there's another sentry ward, and now Raging Potato will end up losing his life. Meanwhile, they are chasing for more Serpent Wards on KP. Here comes Velo as well. He doesn't have the lasso available, but it won't matter. KP copying way too much damage in that Firefly. He does use up, but it is not going to matter. He will end up losing his life fairly easily, and another 2 kills going down for the side of MYSG.
Yeah, Mineski is dropping a lot of space here, and that is a bit worrisome. Once they lose this lead, it's really down to those 2 heroes from MYSG to come online. Ooh.
Jit. Those Riptides just flying out from the Naga Siren, and Velo perhaps realizing now he overextended. I thought they were going to go for an easy lasso play there on the Naga Siren, but MYSG, they kind of just returned to the mid lane and started farming up.
Bottom tower is under attack.
Yeah, it's a bit of a back and forth from both teams, but now it's Mineski's turn to get aggressive. They smoke up again. Gonna go into that jungle and find a kill.
What do they find, though? BT Faded going to be a very nice kill if they can find it. And Raging Potato, he spots him out. Inkswell is there as well. Moon to follow up with the Spirit Siphon. BT, really nothing he can do about this. He will have to just accept death. Meanwhile, nothing to say. Being ganked up by Arjit, though. No detection there through the meld. The rest of the Radiant will be able to back off to safety, though. Mineski, looks like they're setting up for another mid-push for the Tier 2 tower. Only thing is, they do need to wait about 20 seconds for that the Exorcism to be back up. And it looks like they've decided they'll go to the bot Tier 2 instead.
Yeah, you already have KP down there anyway. Easier time to bring your forces to bear down bot, and you do have massive control in that jungle area, so you will be able to spot that rotation in if the defense is there. Doesn't look like MYSG is keen to go for that defense, so it's going to be a free Tier 2 here for Mineski.
Radiant's bottom tower has fallen.
Tier 2 goes down very easily, no exorcism being needed from Moon. Nothing to say. Just trying to finish off that Desolator, though. He's needs another Mithril Hammer for that. He's got enough gold for one. Meanwhile, Arjit moving up to the top lane where the Serpent Wards were dropped by the Shaman. They do also have Velo there. The Velo might need to go for a TP, but well, he's going to try. Can they stop it? Arjit has the song. Won't need it though. Moon has the Yules, and with that, he has nowhere to go. He will Flame Break, but it will not help the cause. He will end up losing his life. And KP, he'll go ahead and clean up those Serpent Wards for the team.
Yeah, and that's a nice amount of gold going to that Necrophos. They do manage to get a significant amount of damage onto that Tier 2, but Paulson is still behind enemy lines.
Certainly is. I don't know he's there though, and he'll go for a very safe TP out. More Raging, gonna move in to the Radiant side jungle, and no sentries to scout. Now the smoke and ultimate being committed onto Paulson. Inkswell was on the illusion as well. That won't be great, but now Raging gonna continue the chase on Paulson. Moon is there as well, and that should be an easy kill, and it will be. Glimpse was there just in case, but now VT, he goes on Moon. It's a lot of damage coming out from that Drow. Can they actually take this Death Prophet down? Silence is there, and now the song. They're going to try and turn this one around. Exorcism being committed. They've caught two there, VT. The Soulbind comes out. They can't get away. Double Reaper Scythe comes out as well. That'll be a double coming up for KP, and that is some terrible news for MYSG.
At the very least, I don't think the Batrider was killed under the Reaper site. He died afterwards, so he's not going to have that massive respawn time, but BT Faded is, and that's going to be a bit of a rough time for him. That means they can't contest the Roshan, and it's just going to go down here for Mineski. So again, great usage of that Exorcism, translating that to an objective. Does still look like MYSG is kind of in the area, but they can't commit for that defense.
We've got to give it to the side of Mineski as well, right? Because we've seen these Naga Sirens over and over again, just spending the whole game farming, but Arjit remains on the top of the net worth board and has also been super active with his team. Just taking real use of that song, and really just as soon as he got the Diffusal Blade out, he's just been active the whole time, and it's just great to see, though. Line's being drawn out here. It's a Mineski, though. I don't think MYSG can go for a play here. They are still missing VT Faded. Exorcism is still not up, so they may not go for the pressure on the Tier 2. Arjit. They go after the Tier 2 top tower. That was a bit of a play there from Paulson to move forward like that, but he'll be alright. Looks like there will be no defense for that top Tier 2 tower.
Yeah, and again, they're starting to slip up in map control here for MYSG. They only have that one outer tower in the mid lane, and that's really going to be it left.
Velo It's a dangerous spot for him, Raging. In fact, they'll use the Yules from Moon to set up. Smoke will be there as well. Can they burst him down before the TP? They absolutely can. Velo, he was just trying to push the wave out before they started pushing in like this, but it looks like Mineski now are going to smoke up. Exorcism will be up in about 5 seconds from now. Make matters worse, the Manta style is up now on Arjit. They are going to move in, Raging again with the Inkswell. The Static Storm was committed as well, just for the Riki. Polison, though, going to cop the Reaper's Scythe. It will not matter. The Static Storm was committed, and now VT Faded trying to go onto the Riki, although they've lost Winter. KB moving on to VT Faded. He is trapped up. He is dead as well. Another double coming out for Arjit. They'll take a tier 2 tower, and they might even take a tier 3.
I don't see this push stopping, indeed. Like, they do have all the tools they need. I believe they still have the Aegis as well. They still have the Song as well for a disengage. They have everything they need, and it's just going to be a very straightforward push here for Mineski.
Indeed, how do you even try to stop this Velo? He throws out some flame breaks from the back, but doesn't look like it's going to matter. You've got Winter up now as well, but he's still got 40 seconds for that Static Storm. And with that, the mid-rack's going to be claimed by Mineski about 23 minutes into this game number 1. Meanwhile, they found Velo as well. He was outside the base, and the Inkswell will cancel the TP off. Oh, they call the GG. They've had enough. So with that, a very convincing game number 1. Arjit with a celebration song goes after Nothing to Say. They might be able to kill him off before the game ends, but no, they will not. Still 8-24 with a 14k net worth lead. 23 minutes in, John. That is a very dominant victory.
It really is, and you don't really see that fast of a game coming out from Naga Siren, but this time around, Mineski shows us how he played his hero early on, and I'm actually really impressed with that performance from Mineski. MYSG putting up a pretty good fight, but they just couldn't deal with that early aggression from that Riki Grimstroke, so wondering if they're going to go ahead and ban that out in the next game. Would be interesting seeing the Riki ban after such a long time, but feels like if Mineski's going to pull that off again, you're going to have a bit of a rough time as a response.
It's the first time you and I have seen it. We didn't even think about the Inkswell plus Riki during the draft, but I mean, it works out so darn strong. We'll see what MYSG+AU plan to do. It is, of course, MLPDotA and johnxfire. We'll be back with you in about 5 to 10 minutes for game number 2. Hopefully it won't be too long.